I want my wife back, McDonald.
I haven't met her pregnant yet.
Let me have my wife back! You beast!
Before I even start, this gist divided Nigerians into two. A lot of people, especially the women, were siding Chike and Frank Edoho's estranged wife, and a lot of men were bashing the women, bashing Chike, like, how dare you sleep with a deity, in quote. Hey everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. You all remember this saying that our parents used to tell us, that whatever it is that happened in the dark would surely come to light in the morning, or ihe ọbụla emelu n'ọchịchị ga-emeche gbaa n'anyanwụ, for those that understand Igbo. Well, earlier this week, a very palatable gist, like I would call it, came on the internet. So Frank Edoho, the anchor of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the very popular one, Chike, the very popular R&B and love song singer, and Sandra, Frank Edoho's ex-wife, as the case may be now, had an entanglement of a sort. And if you're interested in this type of gist, if you really want to know what happened, the voice notes, the receipts, the drafts, if you want to see everything in this video, please relax and let's get right into it. For my people who don't know who Frank Edoho is, let me introduce you. Frank Edoho was the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the Saturday night show that was sponsored by MTN back in the days that we used to watch. You know, that voice that was very intriguing, very suspense filled, very like deep, that would always say is either you choose one of the lifelines, you know, phone a friend, ask the audience, or 50-50, or the one that would say you have won yourself 10 million naira, and everybody would jump out of joy, right? Yes, that is Frank Edoho. I think he has been on our screens for like since 2004. He's a very well respected, well known TV personality and TV presenter. Yes, and then who is Chike? Chike is a very popular artist. We all know him. He sings mostly R&B songs and love songs. He's from Anambra State and he's been doing well for a while now. And then we have Sandra, Frank Edoho's ex-wife. She is an interior decorator of Viva Bella Designs, and she's pretty doing so much for herself. But before we get into the main gist, I want to introduce somebody into the equation. You might ask, who is this? It is worthy to note that Frank Edoho has been married before he married Sandra, and he was married to Catherine Obiang. She is a broadcaster, and they got married in 2003 and separated in 2010. By 2010, the marriage was over. They had 3 children together, and it was even speculated that Frank was cheating on her. Allegedly, he was, you know, beating her allegedly, and I guess that was the reason why they separated, right? That was why the relationship ended.
To disagree with what the man says, it becomes like it's a challenge in the home. The woman is challenging the man, and then tempers free, and then you snap, and then there's a slap, and they say I'm sorry, and then okay, perhaps it's a mistake, you know, he won't do it again, and then he does it again, and then he does it again, and then he does it again.
So, as a typical Nigerian man now, when the relationship ended, Frank jumped in to marry this second wife that they now separated again, which is Sandra, right? And then before the whole thing, Kasala burst. So now that we've introduced this fourth contender, because he's going to build a premise for this video, I just want you all to know that in paper this looked like a fresh start for Frank, right? A new chapter, a new love story. Like everybody was thinking, oh yeah, it couldn't work out with the first wife, it will work out with the second wife. But spoiler alert, it didn't work out. So I think that most people should, you know, do an introspection. When you've tried something like a couple of times and it's not working out, ask yourself that question: am I really the problem? Am I really the cause of this? Do I need to change my behavior? That is side away. That's bystanding anyways. A popular blogger known as Cutie Jules recently, or earlier this week, dropped an audio, a leaked audio, and in this audio, the singer Chike was allegedly linked to Sandra from the conversations they were having. It suggested that something was going on while she was still married to Frank. And then when this news came out, everybody was like, what? How dare you? A deity, you're an oracle. How can you be sleeping with a man whilst still married. And even people were really surprised because Chike is doesn't come out or doesn't give the aura of a bad boy. He gives this the aura of a lover boy. From his songs you would think, oh, how could he deal with a married woman, something like that. But unfortunately, they don't write it on the face. Abi. Now, when this happened, Chike came out and released a press statement, and I'm going to paraphrase. He said in the statement that he met Frank Edoho in 2024 for strictly business, and that they only became friends in May of 2025, that any romantic narrative involving him and Sandra was completely false, malicious, and baseless. And he said that his legal team was going to be informed. And then after that, he went quiet. He didn't say anything again. I mean, Chike, right? And also, Sandra, Frank's ex-wife, did not say anything. But before I continue this story, you guys remember Tega of BBN Niger, right? She posted something on her Instagram even before the whole story unfolded completely, and she said it is all cap on her Instagram, unprovoked. Nobody asked her anything. Nobody said anything to her. She just said it is all cap on Instagram, right? And people were like, waiting with this one. Anyway, maybe it's just one of those things that people post. But just keep that at the back of your mind because this is still going to resurface in the gist as we entangle it. Anyways, obviously now Frank's name started trending on Instagram, trending on the internet, so he had to say something. So he posted on Instagram and said, look, I appreciate all the messages and all the prayers, but I need you all to know that this separation is not new to me. So they have even separated for like I think 2 years ago, so I don't know, and that he had already made peace with the situation and he wants to move on with his life, and that he's focused and that he's grateful. And then he also even added that he had no business being in a committed relationship again. But honestly, respectfully, I think Frankie Doe should do some introspection. Even Sandra and Chike, they should all do introspection because I feel like if you've been married before and you married again and then there's still problem, I mean, are your wife's all the devil? Sometimes you have to look within, look inside. Anyways, Frank didn't even stop at that. He gave more details in an audio interview, and that was when he started laying his own side of the story. But remember, there are always two sides to the story: her side, his side, and the truth, right? He said that Sandra was the one encouraging Chike to continue in the relationship, which was not false. It was actually true, not the other way around, right? He said that he was the one that, paid Sandra's school fees, helped her to build her interior decoration business. He literally found her first carpenter. He spent 4 years studying interior decoration photography just for Sandra. And while that might be true, I don't think that's reason enough for you to, oh, because I paid my wife's school fees, because I helped her, grow from something to nothing. That's not enough reason for you to disrespect the sanctity of your marriage. That's not enough reason for you to, beat her or even, cheat on her, right? It's not enough reason. And I feel like a lot of Nigerian men have this mentality that, oh, because I am providing, or because I did this for you, I have the liberty to misbehave. Come on, then why don't you just be single and mingle and do whatever it is that you want to do? But that's aside. Frank also mentioned that there was even a time that he walked out from the marriage, but it was Sandra that begged and pleaded for him to come back. And I feel like Frank is such a braggadocious person because there was even another statement that he made in the Bad and Bougie podcast, if I'm not mistaken, on how he's the king of malice and how he can keep malice and he'll come back and do chummy with the kids and then just ignore you rather than beating you. I feel like braggadocious personality doesn't exactly work well in a marriage. Humility is very, very important. Let us all be humble because where your madness stopped is where another person's madness is starting. So like I was saying, Frank even continued and said that there was a time he met Chike or he had a conversation with Chike and then he asked Chike like, how dare you do this thing with my wife, even if my wife is like stupid enough to go out of her marriage and cheat on me. How dare you encourage it? As in maybe bro code or something. He said a lot. He said that he cannot come and die because of marriage, and he cannot come and die because of woman in summary. Guess what? He did all of that, painted everybody black, painted Chike black, painted his wife black, which they deserved, right? And then that was when the wife stepped in. It was her own turn to, spill their dirty pants in the public. And that was what she did exactly. Like I said before, Sandra heard all of this, and then on the 15th of May, 2026, she decided to come out with violence. When I mean violence, as in violence. So she posted on her Instagram story and titled it, it was a very funny title, even a BAN. What I mean, you know what that means. I can't completely pronounce it because of YouTube guidelines. She didn't even come to play. She did not come to whisper. That is Frank Edoho's ex-wife. In fact, she came with full documentation. She came with receipts. She came with WhatsApp messages. She came with like payment receipts to different ladies. So the thing is that with Chike's accusation, she didn't mention or say anything about it, which actually points to the fact that she was guilty of the accusation. However, she came and backed up with her own evidences that Frank also cheated on her with multiple women. Frank also, hit her. Frank neglected her, and there was emotional abuse. In fact, there was also financial abuse because she accused Frank of selling their properties, and she also accused Frank of being I don't know if I should call it a deadbeat dad or somebody that wasn't supporting his family in the case. And she even mentioned names. So, like, when I mean receipts, I mean receipts. She mentioned Tega Dominic, she mentioned Amaka Okereke and Adeze Ubwaja. And she even alleged that while she was pregnant with their second child, Frank Edoho kind of prompted her to abort the pregnancy, which she refused. I won't lie, it's been a very crazy week, right? So I want you to link it back to what I talked about, like the Tega Dominic part. Link it back to what I talked about earlier when Tega posted something on Instagram and said it is all caps. So I guess she already knew that something like this was coming up. Even Amaka Uboaja, if I'm not butchering her name, she said something also, tried to clear her name, which there is no concrete evidence to accuse these women that they were frolicking with Frank Edoho. There was no evidence, so you can't just say, oh, they were cheating or they were not cheating. Nobody knows. But then you know how Nigerians can be, right? They now digged up one funny video, and it's more of a spoken words video where that Tega did, and she mentioned Frank.
Are you gonna make love to me now? What is going on, Frank? You barely touch me. And when you do, you make it feel like you're having sex with a whole. I'm done, Frank. I am done trying to get you. I am done trying to make you see that I am here, available, and ready to love you with all of me.
But like, oh, are you sure they did not have anything together? That was why, you were mentioning his name. But I don't think so anyways. Frank is a very generic name, so it's probably just a coincidence. Who knows? All I know is that Sandra has been meaning her husband for a very long period of time for her to be saving the receipts, cloning WhatsApp messages, saving all those things. But I just feel like in a relationship, if it's like it has reached a stage for you to just start keeping voice notes, keeping receipts, keeping things just in case, honestly, it's time to rethink that whole relationship, if I am being very honest, because a marriage and a relationship cannot thrive without trust. In fact, another audio surfaced where Sandra was even trying to encourage Chike, because he was, in the audio, which I'm going to post, Chike was, he was scared that his career might be at risk because Chike mostly sings songs. He performs for mostly newly married people. He performs in family settings, and a lot of people, a lot of men might not want to involve Chike in their occasions, not just because they are scared that Chike might take their wife from them, because obviously, how many people is he going to take away? But because of integrity, a lot of people doesn't want to like or do not want to attend or put a dent in their reputation. So involving someone that has been in this type of situation in their business, especially the popular ones or the important ones, tend to like it's not exactly good for PR. But to be very honest and personally, I don't think it's going to affect Chike as much as people are claiming that it would. Now, while all of these things were happening, remember the first wife, Abi, Catherine Obiang. I'm pretty sure that she's probably going to be laughing now and be like, I told you guys I was not the problem. Trust Nigerians now, they all tiptoed to her comment section and started flooding her comments, telling her, Mama, you have suffered though. King of Malice wanted to finish you off, but God said back to sender. Now, I mean, what would you expect her to do? She didn't really say anything. She just liked some of the comments, I think, and responded to some of them, but she didn't really say anything concerning the situation. But I'm sure she would feel vindicated now because she'll be like, yeah, I said so. I told you also, something like that. And meanwhile, in the middle of all of this, a lot of netizens, citizens of Nigeria, and even beyond, they were all divided. Remember when I said something about trending video where Frank Edoho was, claiming, bragging that he is the king of malice, that some of his friends calls him king of malice, that instead of him to because I want to put the video in context, he was trying to say that instead of him beating his wife or his significant other, he'd rather keep malice, which if you think about it, it may sound like normal, but in the real sense, it is not. Beating your spouse is wrong. Keeping malice with your spouse is also wrong. It shouldn't be one or the other. It should be none of them, right? So because of that, the outrage from women, this is me speaking as a woman, I feel like the outrage from women came from the fact that first of all, cheating has become normalized in this part of the country, especially for men, right? And then how dare a woman do something like that? That means she has balls. That means she has guts, right? So the outrage from women or the support women are giving Chike isn't necessarily because they support cheating in the sense, but because of the fact that the outrage is selective. Men were like, they're everywhere. How dare you cheat on my wife? How dare my wife supports cheating? My wife is a deity. But you starve deity. You beat deity. You emotionally abuse deity. You financially abuse deity. You don't pay attention to deity. Oh, she's a deity. Oh, right, really? Now she's a deity. But I mean, you don't do all those other things for deity, except from the fact that she cannot cheat. But then when it comes to men cheating, right, it seems as if it's normal. So the women's outrage is coming from the fact that they're trying to, give a level one. Oh, so the men can cheat and nothing happens. Okay, now a married woman can also cheat and nothing would happen. So I feel like that's where the outrage is coming from, if I am being very, very honest. So the thing is, I just feel like we should all really think introspectively, and I don't believe that a spouse has a cheating right over the other. First of all, you are not supposed to go out of your marriage, but even if you decide to open it, why can't it be equal for both partners? I'm just saying anyways, because these things are showing the younger ones that, oh, okay, I'm a man, I can misbehave. Oh, I just need to make money. That's the only thing I need to do. And then the women, they are training them to become good wives. They're training them to become good sisters, to uphold morality, while the other ones, aka the boys, aren't doing the same. It's crazy because it's not going to get anywhere. We're still going to keep on spiraling like we are spiraling now. Anyways, tell me what you all think about this in the comment section down below. I'd really appreciate your response, your opinions, and your suggestions. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share, and enjoy this video. And I'll see you next time. Bye.